Welcome back. In the previous part, we had Susato here, posing as Ryotaru to defend a friend in a case here, which, you know, she's been accused of murder. And at the end of the previous part, the prosecution gave us a little tale about what had happened during said murder and the scene afterwards. So, we need to question them about it. So let's start here with the bathing spot. If I may, Prosecutor Ouchie. What do you want, you fresh-faced young yokel student? I wonder, could you explain, please? You mentioned a bathing spot. My apologies. Clearly, my modernity has confused the poor country bumpkin's simple mind. Bathing spots are the very latest trend in health practices from the West. We are told that bathing in the water of the ocean is curative, therapeutic, and excellent for the skin's... No, that's not what I mean. I was referring to the fact that Miss Brett had, to all intents and purposes, been found guilty of murder. Why would a known criminal have been relaxing by the sea? A lot of dots. For old time's sake, I believe. What? Sorry. Miss Brett was to depart for Shanghai the following day. Her final wish, as it were, was to enjoy a day at our country's wonderful coast. And the British Embassy put extreme pressure on our government to comply. But on what grounds would we agree to such a request? Want to become friends with the British Empire? Because, as usual, our government is unable to stand up to foreign powers. In matters of diplomacy, it seems we don't have the courage to decline the whims of a known criminal. Don't look at me, Professor. It was the government who granted permission, not I. In any case, it was decided that with a dedicated detective on duty, nothing could go wrong. But in fact, a murder took place. I said, don't look at me. His hair. It was that young student girl who did it, not I. Sure thing, mate. No one has proved that yet. I wouldn't provoke the man if you don't need to. At this stage, I need to gather more information, I think. As a lawyer, I really ought to pick up the prosecution counsel on what he said about. Wonder what would happen if I did it again, but being alone together. Membabi-san. Yes? What is it, Susa? Naruhodo-san. I'm really starting to wish we'd made my alias Ryotaro Susato. Yeah, it would have helped. Please tell the court why exactly you were present at the bathing spot with the victim in the first place. And why you were alone with her. Oh, well, no, that's not true. It wasn't like that at all. There were other people present. A detective who was guarding Miss Brett for starters. A detective? I was just asked to accompany Miss Brett as a companion. That's all. But let us be clear. At the moment of her death, you were alone together with the victim in the hut. You and no one else. The truth is, there is only one reason why this young woman accompanied Miss Brett on her bathing sojourn. It was the accused's last chance to take the victim's life. Motive. What would be the motive, mate? No. Because, as we know, the following day would see Miss Brett extradited to the British authorities in Shanghai. And the accused would never have an opportunity to dispatch her again. But why would she want to? Rebel. Kindly refrain from conjecture, counsel. The prosecution counsel seems to enjoy using provocative tricks like that. But for now, at least, we need to assemble more facts. Try not to let him goad you. Oh dear, this is really terrifying. But Father's right. We need more information. As a lawyer, I really ought to pick up the prosecution counsels on what he said. Yeah, a powerful motive, that's what we need. What is the motive? You're clearly exaggerating. Powerful motive is a blatant overstatement. Tut, tut, tut. Is the yokel boy using long words he doesn't fully understand? I beg your pardon? No matter. Let us put this to the accused, shall we? Mbami-san, you are a researcher assistant at the Imperial Yume University, I believe. Yes, I am. I'm working with Professor Mikataba in his laboratory at the moment. I can confirm that. The defendant is an excellent assistant with a strong sense of responsibility. Fascinating to hear. Now, another question. Prior to your work with Professor Mikataba, whose research were you assisting then? I was studying under Dr. John H. Wilson. Oh, well, here we go. Dr. Wilson? The visiting English professor who was murdered by Miss Brett 9 months ago? Oh, Rebel, is it Rebel? Yes, Rebel. The accused had a deep-seated respect for her former mentor, Dr. Wilson. Is that not true? Yes, Dr. Wilson was a wonderful man. Interesting. Then tell the court what deep-seated feelings you had towards the Englishwoman who killed him. Well, obviously I was filled with hatred for what she'd done. A powerful hatred. Oh no, Ray. Be careful of what you're saying. The motive was revenge. Plain and simple, Your Excellency. What? I believe we all have a clear picture of the incident now. Despite her guilt being determined 9 months ago, Miss Brett managed to avoid incarceration, instead continuing her research work at the university. Obviously, over that period, she and Ray would have encountered each other on a number of occasions. Seeing the murderer of the mentor for whom she had such great respect, enjoying such undeserved liberty. Yes, even if it was only temporary until Miss Brett's extradition to Shanghai. You can hardly blame Ray for her feelings of anger and resentment. Poor Ray. So, Your Excellency, if you be so kind as to peruse this exhibit. A photographic print that shows the scene of the crime immediately following the grim incident. Alright, what we got? Yes, thank you, Counsel. A tragic image. What we got around here? Like, what's going on with the dress in the corner? That to me screams suspicious instantly. As you can clearly see, there is nowhere within the hut that anyone else could have hidden. I mean, in the dress. The court will accept this photographic print as evidence. The photograph of the crime scene has been entered into the court record. As I understand it then, the victim and the defendant were alone inside the beach hut at the time. Alright, what we got? Let's have a little gander at this. Because I'm thinking this dress here, this dress. You could easily have someone hide there, pull up their feet, like hide that there, or under the table. What's going on with that? And the masquerade as well. Like, what's going on here? What is going on? This is deeply troubling, I must say. The finger of guilt points firmly at the defendant. Well, Your Excellency, naturally, the prosecution has much more to its case. We intend to prove the accused's appalling actions beyond all possible contention. To that end, I can confirm that we have multiple witnesses to the crime and damning evidence. Witnesses? But who? A lot of dots. One of whom, I might add, is a highly respected police detective. Who? I assure you, the testimony of those witnesses will leave no room for doubt. How am I? A detective? Holmes, maybe? No. Very well, then, counsel. Bring forth your witnesses. My what? Taketsushi Ouchi. I've been waiting for this moment. Sorry? Oh yes, I haven't forgotten. That trial 9 months ago, here in this very courthouse. When that irreverent little student boy utterly humiliated me. Ryunosuke Naruhodo. What? Yeah? This insult to the Ouchi family name will never be forgotten. You become conceited with age, counsel, but the old have to stand aside and make way for the new. It's the way of the world. May you never forget that. Dun, dun, dun. All right. Strike the head of a samurai whose top knot has been cut, and the bell of cultural enlightenment tolls. Yes, on that fateful day, my former self died. The start of your own mini Meiji revolution. Are you modernizing as well, counsel? Silence! Since I swore revenge back then, there's been a minor miracle atop my head. Observe the ouchy growth. You see the seed of hope sprouting forth from the barren expanse of my crown. I think the tiny growth is trying to tell me something. I'm afraid I can't really see. Where is the hope exactly? I said silence! Today I face another yokel student of the Naruhodo clan. Well, I will vanquish you. And my victory will be fertilizer for the seed of hope atop my head. You have been warned. With that, the prosecution calls the witness to the stand. It looks like the stakes are high on both sides in this trial. The prosecution and defense each has much to lose. A haircut is hardly comparable to Ray's life. Well. Witnesses, please state your names and occupations for the court. Chief Inspector Satoru Hasanaga. Oh! Imperial Police Bureau. I'm in disguise, obviously, so I can go undetected. And I am, well, the next big thing in books. An author renowned throughout the capital, in fact, yes. Who is this guy? Soon to be sold out, the satirical I Am a Cat, a sensational success by Sosuke Natsume. Oh my goodness. Struggling student from the provinces. Please, you needn't be in awe of me. I needn't? It's only natural that you'd feel nervous in my presence, but all of you, please relax. Call me Sosuke even. Yes. Or Soseki? Could be Soseki. Not sure. Natsume anyway. What on earth is Soseki-san? Sosuke? Could be Sosuke. Could be Soseki. What's that doing here? And tread carefully, Susato. That author fellow knows you from your time in London, doesn't he? If he exposes you for who you really are, this will be over before it's begun. Yes. Yes, of course. I know. I presume Sosuke-san will have forgotten about me. I could certainly never forget him. Although he does seem to have changed somewhat in the 6 months or so that it has been since I last saw him. And as for Inspector Hasanaga, that amazing outfit is hard to believe. Especially with the turtle. Do I have something on my face? No yet, head mate. Well, your glasses for one, although they don't seem to be helping you see. Thank goodness he hasn't recognized me either. Ah, I suppose it's this disguise, isn't it? I thought that appearing here in the clothes I was wearing at the time would make for a more faithful testimony. It's my guiding principle to carry out all testimonies flawlessly. Well, I can appreciate why an Imperial Police Bureau detective might have been present. But what business did a writer such as yourself have being at the scene? Natsumi-san, does that work? Ah, well, you see, I had been asked that day to give a lecture on the morning of the incident in the Imperial Yume University's Grand Lecture Hall, no less. At Yume University? After the lecture, I had a very pleasant conversation with a researcher from the Medical Science Department. The professor over there, in fact. With Professor Mikitaba? Yes, that's right. It was arranged by one of the newspapers. They wanted some story or other about 2 former students who'd studied in Great Britain. Of course, being a renowned author, the press never leave me alone. They secretly spy, snapshots, scribble stories, and scupper my privacy. As you can see, the conversation was written up in this newspaper here. Read it at your leisure, my provincial struggling student friend. I have plenty of copies. Thank you very much. He practically threw the paper at me. The Soseki Natsumi article has been entered into the court record. Anyway, following my interview with the professor... Yeah, well, I want to have a look at that now first, don't I? Obviously. Oh my! Look at the little kitty! Oh, she's just little kitty. Look at his little face there. Oh, he's adorable. What's going on with you, mate? What's going on with you? Not entirely sure. But look at the little kitty. He's adorable. Anyway, following my interview with the professor, the lady in question appeared and made a very unexpected announcement. I should like to go with everyone to see your country's coast. Those were her words. As I explained before, Miss Brett was never taken into custody. She continued to work in my laboratory under strict surveillance, of course. At which utterance, the university immediately contacted the government to seek guidance. And the response was, permit Miss Brett to go as long as a detective accompanies her. And that detective, I am at liberty to divulge, was me, Chief Inspector Satoru Hasanaga. And thereby, the entire party departed cordially. For the seaside, it seems. It was extremely challenging to clear all other members of the public from the vicinity of the beach. But fortunately, I am at peak physical fitness at the moment, so, Wait, oh, that's getting worse, mate. That's getting worse, that's not good. I was able to carry out my duties flawlessly. Oh my, Inspector, well, you do have something on your face now. Ah, how unsightly. I do apologize. Does that mean that you went to the beach too, Father? No. Unfortunately, I had work to finish off. But unfortunately, of course, It meant that, as my assistant, Ray was invited to take my place. Of course, being a renowned author, I didn't like to decline the invitation. But if only I'd never seen that awful sight. Relentlessly, racked by remorse and regret. Very well, I must now ask you to present your formal testimony to the court. You will give an account of all that you witnessed on your impromptu excursion to the coast. Of course, Your Excellency. Relentlessly racked by remorse and regret, I am. Oh my. Witness testimony! The witness scene. On the day of the incident, I was ordered on a special surveillance assignment in this disguise. I just managed to catch the crab when I suddenly heard a kitwall from behind me. A kitwall. I ran into the beach hut at once, where I found the pair in question. Yes. The young girl was astride the Englishwoman, dagger in hand, as she stabbed wildly. I saw blood on the blade. It proved to me that she'd stabbed the victim multiple times. Indeed. It does appear from this testimony that both witnesses here present saw it. The very moment of this heinous crime. What? Now, if you will recall, I promised evidence as well. What phrase did I use again? Yes, that was it. Damning evidence. What have you there, counsel? A so-called fountain pen, is it? Yeah, I saw that in where is it? Where is it? Where? There, look, there. Fountain pen, right there. Correct, Your Excellency. I found it at the scene whilst examining the body. It appears that in her dying moments, with her final ounce of strength, the victim clutched a piece of evidence that would positively identify her. What? Your Excellency, if you would cast your eyes over the photographic print of the crime scene once more. Yes? Goodness me. Yeah? Yes, the victim is clearly grasping something quite deliberately there in her hand. That's right. The fountain pen. And if you would kindly examine the pen, Your Excellency. Here is initials have been engraved into the ebonite barrel. R.M. Ray Membabi. Well, it's not going to be hers, but the initials of the defendant. No. Wouldn't she have it engraved in Japanese? The fountain pen will be admitted immediately as critical evidence. Okay. So, have I omitted anything? Decisive testimony and damning evidence. There's a bright blue sky outside the courthouse today. Perfect weather to ascribe guilt, I feel. I don't understand. The prosecutor Ouchie of 9 months ago had none of this man's poise. We're gonna blow his hope off his head. Counsel for the defense, you may begin your cross-examination now. Naruhodo-san. Naruhodo. That means... Oh, yes, me. Is there another Naruhodo in the courtroom? Actually, there isn't even a single Naruhodo in your courtroom. Cousin Ryotaro, pull yourself together, please. Alright. I've seen this countless times as a judicial assistant. Find inconsistencies in the witness testimonies to prove that they're lying somehow. That's all there is to it. That's how a real lawyer would handle a cross-examination. So let's see what I can do. Alright, let's check all the evidence first. The witness scene, but let's check it out. Right, so post-mortem report. Victim, Giselle Brett, female, British. Time of death, 11th of August, around 2 p.m. Ascertained by examination and witness statements. Cause of death, single, deep stab wound from behind, piercing a lung. Oof. And resulting in a fatal hemorrhage. Death would have occurred within minutes. Notes, extreme meiosis, pupil constriction, was observed in both victims' eyes. Okay. Got this, so there's the stab wound in the back. Here's the lung. Got the pen here. Masquerade, drink. Not sure, entirely sure, drinks of some sort. Okay, so... What's this? What's that? What are these? More masks? More of these? More masquerades? Not entirely sure. That's just a picture there with a kitty, the lovely kitty, the kitty. And the fountain pen. Can I... Oh. About the people. What we got for the people? It's got a medical school professor, Raymond Barbie, Brett, Ouchie, Sanaga, and Natsume. Right, so let's see here. On the day of the incident, I was ordered on a special surveillance assignment in this disguise. I just managed to catch the crab when I suddenly heard a caterwaul from behind me. I ran into the beach hut at once, where I found the pair in question. Yes. That young girl was astride the Englishwoman, dagger in hand, as she stabbed wildly. I saw blood on the blade. It proved to me that she stabbed the victim multiple times. Huh. Oh no. I just have so many thoughts whirling around in my head. I've got one. It's all I can do to stand here, wide-eyed and mute. Goodness, my dear. You really must try to calm down. But how am I supposed to find an inconsistency in what these two gentlemen are saying? I don't see why either of them would have any reason to lie. What you must remember, I think, is that witnesses may inadvertently lie at times. For various reasons, a misunderstanding, a mistaken observation, a delusion even. Delusion. What's important is that we determine the truth, and there's only one sure way to do that. Yes, with evidence, of course. Spoken like a true judicial assistant. During witness testimony, you can use RB to pick a piece of evidence and present for consideration. So you need to listen carefully to each statement and compare what's said in the details of the court record. If you find some conflicting information, that may be the inconsistency you're looking for. Yes, it's all about inconsistencies. Once you've identified a witness statement that appears to conflict with a piece of evidence, present the evidence to the witness with why, and the way ahead will present itself to you, I'm sure. Yes. Alright then. Now consider the details of all the evidence in the court record against each statement to find an inconsistency. I hope I'm up to the task. Don't forget that you can have the witnesses repeat their statements as many times as you like. Everyone has to start at the beginning, remember? So those wide eyes are quite forgivable. And besides, there's no one else to defend the poor girl. You're right. I need to listen to the testimony again from the start. Let's do it. On the day of the incident, I was ordered on a special surveillance assignment in this disguise. Nothing to question there. Nothing at all. I just managed to catch the crab when I suddenly heard a caterwaul from behind me. I ran into the beach hut at once, where I found the pair in question. Yes, that young girl was astride the Englishwoman, dagger in hand, as she stabbed wildly. See, because I feel like there's potentially an inconsistency there. I saw blood on the blade. It proved to me that she stabbed the victim multiple times. Like, the stabbing wildly was where I was thinking, like, hold on. That's something going on there. Because I was thinking there, with only a single wound was identified, there would be more than one wound if she was stabbing wildly. But at the same time, he is actually going on about, I saw blood on the blade. It proved to me that she'd stabbed the victim multiple times. That's inconsistent with the post-mortem report.
Objection!
So many dots. With that accusatory cry that just welled up from deep inside me. I think I finally understand. Every time Kazuma-sama and Naruhodo-san have stood here at this bench, the stakes have been very, very high indeed. What's the meaning of that menacing pose, Counsel? I'd like the witness to clarify something for me. Who? What? Where? When? How? Not you, Soseki-san. This query is directed at Inspector Hasanaga. At me? In your statement just now, you said that the victim was stabbed multiple times. Yes, that's right. As I said when I entered the hut, the defendant was already standing over the victim, bloody knife in hand, like a murderous demon. And yet, that cannot be true. What? Get to the point, please, Counsel. In the post-mortem report, it clearly states that the victim was stabbed one time only. Ah! In other words, Inspector Hasanaga's testimony is clearly flawed. Ah! And Soseki-san? Me? You claim to have seen Membami-san in the throes of stabbing the victim. Yeah, there we go. Yes I did. Wildly. But both you and the inspector confirm the same point. That there was already blood on the knife that you saw the defendant holding. Yes, and? It's quite simple. We know the murder weapon was used to stab the victim only once, therefore, there's no way there could have been blood on the knife if that single stabbing hadn't already occurred. True? And what exactly is your contention, Counsel? Are you ever going to tell us? Yes, Your Excellency. There's only one logical conclusion. What Soseki-san in fact saw was not the moment that the defendant stabbed the victim at all, but the moment that the defendant in fact withdrew the blade from the victim's body. That can't be. Excellent work, Susato. You exploded at them with that objection, and then proceeded to pull them apart systematically.
Objection!
Well, this takes me back. Yes, I seem to remember your cousin staged a scene much like this in that trial 9 months ago, which you lost, I'll have you remember. A half-witted child with a half-baked objection attempting to steal the show. You're right. There were certain similarities. Except that so-called half-witted child managed to outwit the prosecution, who has only half a head of hair. Slander! My head is quite adequately dressed. In any case, all this talk of stabbing and withdrawing and multiple wounds, it makes not a jot of difference. What? Why not? Engage your brain, young man. When the accused first plunged the deadly weapon into the victim, that was the fatal blow. And it was that moment, just as she had withdrawn the blade ready for her next strike, that the witnesses saw. The knife was already tainted with blood because the accused had already stabbed the victim. All you have successfully shown with your little display is that the mustached author is prone to moments of extravagance. Oh my, yes, quite. Is she okay? Like she? Yes. What? I am in agreement with the prosecution. If the defendant was seen wielding the blade at all, that is sufficient grounds for her actions to be viewed with suspicion. But she was withdrawing the blade. Then we are back where we started. Sorry? Consider this, young yokel boy. If the student girl is innocent as you claim, then why would she have pulled the blade from the victim? And with a demon's cold-blooded composure, too. Prosecution demands an explanation, and it had better be good. Why did Ray pull out the knife? Ah, yes. Going for the jugular. What does Father mean by that? Let the court hear your answer then, counsel. The truth is, I don't really know. But I have to come up with a plausible reason here. Well, we don't have a case. The reason why the defendant pulled the knife blade out of the victim's body was surely so she could find out in the next part. Ta-da for now.